Raider Nation, welcome back. Silver and Black today in Odyssey Sports, original podcast covering the Las Vegas Raiders. And I sighed at the beginning of the show because Raider Nation, I feel for you. I understand we're here to be your therapists on our show and to talk through the current state of the Las Vegas Raiders. To do that, you're joined by Scott Branson. I'm your host, along with my co-host, Mr. Moton. He's a senior NFL writer at Bleacher Report. You can also catch his Raider-specific work on sportsnaut.com. Follow him on X at MOEMOTON. That's Mo Moton. I am at LV Gully. The show is SNB Today. And are you still smarting from Sunday? Are you still upset? Are you still seething? We heard from a lot of you on the postgame show, as Mo did as well on his postgame live for Bleacher Report. So we understand where you're at. And I continue to get messages. We got lots of calls to get to later in the show, which we'll do in the final segment of the show. But the Raiders right now, there's no other way to put it. Yes, it's early in the season. It doesn't matter. They are a disaster any way you look at it. And we're going to walk through what we saw from this game again, and also what implications it may have about where this team is headed or where it's not headed, the playoffs. And we will get into that as we move forward. All right, Mo, you and I haven't spoken since the game. And I barely watched some more of the film this morning before we recorded the show. And I will tell you that it's inexplicable. I don't understand how a professional football team with a, for sure, Hall of Fame coach, there's no doubt that Pete Carroll will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, can come out in three consecutive weeks, and you could argue four, not be prepared, not know their assignments, and just play so poorly in many ways. Were there bright spots? Yes. We'll talk about Genty later. We'll talk about some other things like the offensive line. But boy, I just don't know where to start, Mo, after a few days off, understanding where this team is and how it got here. There's lots of reasons, but I want to get your first take. Tie up with a nice, crappy bow this game and what you saw in it and what gave you the most pause.
Two things that stand out to me most, and one is the obvious: the turnovers. Geno Smith leads the league in interceptions with 7. He has 6 interceptions at home. What happened to indoor Geno? Remember we talked about indoor Geno should be better than outdoor Geno. Indoor Geno is worse than any other Geno we've seen, right? This is Jets Geno Smith we're getting right now. And the other thing is, my beef with coaching is, there are still plays where the offense comes out and they don't know which direction the play is going. So you have one player going this way, the other team going the other way. We've seen that now throughout the month of September, where either Genty runs the wrong way, Meredith is going the wrong way, an offensive lineman is not reacting after the snap. You saw that multiple times on Sunday. Play it back. There are multiple times where the Raiders, Meredith snaps the ball, and there are at least 2 players who are stuck frozen at the line of scrimmage, not moving. So there's a communication issue. And my issue is, if there's a miscommunication issue on game day in week 4, what are they practicing during the week leading up to the game? You're supposed to practice these plays. That's where coaching comes in, Scott, and that's my problem with coaching.
Practice? What are you talking about, practice? I mean, come on.
Practice.
Yes. So, I mean, and the game was so bad that Mo now needs glasses if you're watching us. So, I mean, that's how bad it was. But I have to tell you, this is where I was going crazy. And again, you know, I don't watch the game like an emotional fan, but obviously I hear we have lots of listeners who message us during the game and all that. And they were going crazy. For me, I was just like, this is freaking horrible. I didn't even want to watch it. It was so bad. To your point, on the big 4th down call early in the game on their own 35, don't even get me started. What kind of idiot does that? But the play is called, and Jordan Meredith doesn't know where to go, and he steps out of the way of the rushing defensive lineman who comes in, tackles Genty, fumble. We know the story. It literally like watching a comedy, because to your point, where are you going? And I sent you the quote. I think I texted it to you, where Pete Carroll, before they left, or before the game, his last press conference before Sunday's game, said this was a championship week type practice week. Championship week type. What the hell are you talking about? How do you go out if you have a championship type week of practice and that's the kind of crap that you see? Holy moly, Mo. I'm telling you, you know me, you and I both on this show, we've never railed against coaching. Now, at the end of the McDaniels era, we started to because it was just so bad. But we're not overcritical here. We don't go nuts on coaches and say, what the hell are they thinking? All this kind of stuff. That's not how we are. But I'm saying it now because I don't understand how you have this coaching staff with all this experience. They were defensive last week. So the hair was up on their arms because they were angry at the reporters actually asking them legitimate questions. And then they go out with this performance. And you're thinking to yourself, what the hell are you watching versus what are we all watching? I had one of our listeners text me today. He's like, what's wrong with us? How come we can see it and they can't?
I don't think we could see it and they can't. I think it's a bit of stubbornness, Scott.
Yes. Ego.
When you invest, and Pete Carroll said this himself, that they don't want to change up the offensive line because they invested so much in having these players at certain spots, right? So to me, that's code word for we want to do it this way. We've invested so much time in doing it this way. We're not going to change it. We're going to be stubborn. We're going to be rigid. Even though we're seeing certain things on the field contrary to what we thought would happen or contrary to our expectations, we're going to stick to our plan. And that's what you don't do, right? I think part of being a person who can be successful is being able to amend some of your expectations and plans. If you see something is not working out, you have to be flexible in fixing it and having a plan B ready to go just in case plan A doesn't work out. Plan C, plan D, plan E, whatever the case may be, right? And I think it's a bit of stubbornness because I watched, and again, we'll get to the positives, but I just want to touch on one of those right now. One of the bright spots, the offensive line overall got better as the game went on, but JPJ looked like their best offensive lineman on Sunday.
Mention that.
And I don't see how a guy who looks like your best offensive lineman in his third start of the season is competing for a job with a guy who had one of his worst seasons in Alex Cappa last year. So for Pete Carroll to come out and say JPJ is competing for a job, he's clearly one of their best offensive linemen. That's where I say, what are they looking at versus what we're seeing on the field?
Right. And I think that all last week and we don't curse on the show, was bullshit. Pete Carroll was lying. There was something, we called it, maybe we thought it was personal. There was something because you know what? The pressure, I believe the actual coaching staff gave in to the pressure because they saw the film too. And you had no legitimate reason not to make the move. And you go out and you mention the positive. I want to mention this. In Sunday's loss, there's so much negative to talk about, but another one of the positives, only 3 pressures. They give up only 3 pressures on the day. Now, Geno Smith was throwing the ball to the other team too, so that might have something to do with it. But 3 pressures versus 51 in the other 3 games, the previous 3 games. So clearly with Jackson Powers-Johnson in there, things went better. Does he deserve all the credit for it? No, the rest of the line had to do their stuff too. Of course, Colton Miller, by the way, who went out, now has a high ankle sprain. He's getting an MRI. High ankle sprains are no joke. He's going to miss time. So you look at that, and that's a positive. But this is where people were calling me, oh, you were a Kool-Aid drinker on Pete Carroll. Yeah, I was. Because I thought, well, experience, all that stuff. Even the first game, after the first game, I came on this show and said, hey, real adults in the room. I was wrong. Because clearly these guys are not, they're not giving into the fact that, hey, to be successful, you sometimes have to fail fast, right? If you fail, if it's not working, if I buy a stock and it loses all its value in a day, do I keep it? Well, I might keep it one more time, one more day. See what happens. The next day, it starts to lose more value. What am I thinking here? And then the company has bad reports. Get rid of the stock. Well, they didn't get rid of their stock. Instead, they stuck with it. They finally do it against the Bears, and then they had other problems at the quarterback position. But nonetheless, this is a big problem, Mo. This is a big problem because you're only 4 weeks in, and you have issues. I thought, contrary to popular belief, I thought Chip Kelly actually called a pretty good game. At the end of the game, it was crap. The 3rd and 2 was a bad call when you're going in for the field goal. They could have done some more there. They got really tight in the sphincter because of Geno Smith throwing constant interceptions. They didn't want to throw the ball, right? They were afraid to throw the ball. Let's call it what it is. So it's like this yin and yang. There was some positive, and then there's so many negatives that I understand for Raider Nation out there. But you know what? This organization, this coaching staff, I don't give a crap what you've won, Pete Carroll. Step in front of the podium and admit what you guys are doing is not working.
You're probably not going to get that, Scott.
No, I'm not.
I think you're more than likely to get that from John Spytek at the end of the season versus getting that from Pete Carroll in the middle of the season, unfortunately. But you called it there at the end, Scott. Part of the issue, I think, with the play calling, part of the issue I think people have with the play calling goes back to what I started with, Geno Smith's interceptions. Yeah. You get to a point where Geno Smith is at the rate he's throwing to the other team, I wouldn't trust him either. No. So it kind of limits what you can do as far as a play call. I'm going to give Chip Kelly a pass, but if your quarterback has thrown 3 interceptions in a game already and gifted the Bears 13 points, you're going to be a bit hesitant to throw the ball on a crucial down. You're not going to get the deep pass to Dante Thornton Jr., what we saw in week 1, where they trusted Geno Smith. You can see there, they trusted Geno Smith. Had him throw it on a late down. He completes the pass. It helps ice the game. It was all good then, just a few weeks ago. Now he's got, as I said, a lead leading 7 interceptions, and he's not seeing the field. Not only, I don't think he's not seeing the field. He's too deliberate with his throws. And people have pointed this out, that the 2 interceptions, I think Adam Archuleta pointed this out during the broadcast on Sunday. 2 of his interceptions look identical, where he's staring down Jacoby Myers. He tries to throw up the seam, and Kevin Byard jumps it. Clearly, the Bears study film. Clearly, the team study film, and they noted they wanted to go to Jacoby Myers because the Bears struggled in the slot. Read Geno Smith's mail very easily, and I don't know what's going on with Geno, but he is playing like, and I'm in New York, so I know what rookie year Geno Smith looked like. He is looking closer to rookie year Geno Smith with the Jets than he is Seattle Seahawks Geno Smith, 2-time Pro Bowl Geno Smith.
And it's a big problem. And it's funny because my wife's a big football fan. So my wife knows football. My wife was watching the game with me, and she's like, why does he keep staring at receivers? So to your point, Mo, I mean, she noticed it. I think everybody notices it. And you're right. So that was my point at the post-game press conference. Question to Pete Carroll, did you ever think about sitting Geno? No, absolutely not. It's not time for that yet. What is 15 interceptions? Now, you know me, Mo, I'm not the guy who go to the backup quarterback. I'm not that guy. But I will tell you, in that game, if you can't pass the ball when you're trying to seal the victory, you're trying to go down and win the game, you need somebody who's going to go down and win you the game. If you don't have confidence in your quarterback to throw the ball on a drive to get down in better field goal range first of all, or to score a touchdown, then what the hell are you doing? You traded for him. You gave him an extension. What is going on? If you can't trust in him, then you got big problems. And the Raiders, and you mentioned it on X Sunday evening, which was, this is the problem when you don't develop a young quarterback. You don't go get a young quarterback that's going to be around for 10 or 15 years. The Raiders continue to kick the can down the road on that. And Geno Smith, he's a good guy. Got nothing against him as a guy, but he doesn't know what's wrong. Nobody knows what's wrong. And what's Pete Carroll going to do? Hey, I'd say, look, Geno, Kenny Pickett's going to compete with you this week, man. You got to show me you got this stuff down. But he's not going to do that either. So we're stuck watching Geno Smith. Hopefully he snaps out of it. It's possible. It's only week 4, going into week 5 now. So it's possible. But Mo, if Geno Smith has another performance, doesn't even have to be as bad as this one. If it's lackluster and there's turnovers, I don't know what else you can do but say, hey, you know what, Geno? You got some things to work out. Meanwhile, we got Kenny Pickett. He might be a 500 quarterback as a starter, but he doesn't turn the ball over as much.
The Raiders gave up a 3rd-round pick and signed Geno Smith to a 2-year, $75 million extension. They're going to give him at least half the season. I know Raider Nation wants to hear us get on here and say, bench Geno Smith, fire everybody, and start over. The reality is that's not going to happen. Pete Carroll is going to be around. Chip Kelly's going to be around. Geno Smith is going to get, in my opinion, at least half the season with what they gave up to get him. Not only did they give up a draft pick, I know it's a 3rd rounder, but you know John Spytek loves his draft picks. They gave up a 3rd rounder and they gave him an extension. He is going to be your starter for most of this year, whether he snaps out of it or not.
But Mo, here's my problem with that. And I don't disagree with you. I think you're right. But I would have in that game, in that second half, when he comes out in the first possession, second half, turns the ball over again, I would have sat him for at least a series just to say, dude, you've got to freaking focus here. Just to make a point. I don't care who you are, how many years you got in the league. I mean, I saw even more experienced quarterbacks who were big winners have that done to them when they were struggling. So to me, again, it's approach. I'm not a coach. I get it. So they're going to handle it the way they do. But I just can't understand that. The other thing I want to talk about before we get to the break, and then we'll come back and talk about some more of these issues, both positive and negative, is the defense. Boy, TV played up how great the defense played in the first half, and they did. The Raiders turn over the ball twice in that first half inside their own 30. Defense holds to a field goal on the first one, holds them to a punt on the second one, and really does a great job. Max Crosby has, another great half. But here's the problem. And a lot of people want to blame it on, they're on the field too much. But when the game's on the line, you had an opportunity as a defense to make one more stop. You had the lead. They couldn't do it. The Bears, the inept Bears, who looked offensively, for the most part, terrible most of the game, went on an 11-play, 5-minute and 20-second drive that was capped with a touchdown. Okay? Sorry, but the defense's first half means nothing to me if they can't hold the game when you have the lead.
Defense gave up that late touchdown to DeAndre Swift. As many pointed out, they were on the field, so fatigue does set in. But when you got to have it, you got to have it, and they weren't able to make the stop. It is what it is. Two things could be true, right? The defense could have been gassed from all the time they were left on the field and hung out to dry by the offense, giving the Bears good field position. And the other truth is, in that one crucial moment when you can get the stop to potentially win the game, they didn't get the stop. They didn't come up with it. Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to something else you were discussing with somebody, I think, on X on Sunday too, which is when you don't have, first of all, your starters aren't up to snuff yet, right? Your overall roster, which means you don't have depth. So when you get deep in a game, especially if you've been on the field a little too much, depth is huge. The Raiders didn't have fresh legs to put in on that drive. Okay. So to me, that's another issue, but that's something you can't solve now. You can look back at talent evaluation and ask John Spytek some questions after the season, but you're not going to change that now. So this might be something the Raiders have to deal with in the future if the offense can't get going. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back from segment number 2, we're going to talk some more through this. I want to talk more about that offensive line. I also want to talk about some of the great performances we saw from Ashton Jeanty and a guy who was a healthy scratch for 3 weeks, Raheem Mostert. Remember him? Yeah, him and Jeanty, 200 yards rushing between the two of them. Good one. Okay, when we get back, we'll talk about that. You're with Mo and Scott. This is Silver and Black Today. Don't go anywhere. All right, Raider Nation, it's time for me to tell you about our good friends at Sleeper Picks, great sponsor of all of our video this season on Silver and Black Today. But what it's about is daily fantasy football. If you love daily fantasy football like I do, guess what? You can't get better than the Sleeper app. And today I'm going to pick Thursday's game. Thursday, you're going to hear Mo pick his picks for daily fantasy football because guess what? We're excited. You get a $100 match deposit on your first $100 deposit with the Sleeper Picks app to play daily fantasy football. All you got to do is use the code GENTY. Ashton Jeanty coming off the big game, of course, in the loss to the Bears. But guess what? $100, you get it right from Sleeper. Just use the code GENTY, only from your friends here at Silver and Black Today. And today, I'm going to show you who I'm going to pick for this game. And again, this app is so great. Not only do you get it right at your fingertips, you can do this real time. You can do it before the game. And clearly, game's not until Thursday, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick 3 players, and I'm looking at Ricky Pearsall. Here's a guy I have actually on my fantasy team. Anytime touchdowns, 0.5, so he's got to get 1 touchdown. And he did not play on Monday, but I think he's going to get ready. The reports I've seen is he's going to be ready to go. I like him for a touchdown in this game. So I'm picking Ricky Pearsall on that one. Then on the Rams side, you look at Kyron Williams. Look at this, the running back for the Rams. I like this kid a lot as well. 11.5 receiving yards. He catches the ball out of the backfield a lot with Matthew Stafford. And you can see here by this kind of heat check, the popularity. Everybody playing daily fantasy football on Sleeper is going for this 25 plus yards. I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to go with the crowd on this one and pick Kyren Williams there as well. Puka Nacua, what can you say about this guy? Just, he's rewriting the record books already as a young player. Here we have 80 plus yards, 98 and a half yards, but for 80 plus yards is the most popular bet. I'm going to go 70 here. I'm thinking that against San Francisco, even though that beat up San Francisco, that he'll get 70 plus. I'm just a little leery of that number. So if you look at the entry here, betting $20 on Pearsall to have 1 touchdown, Kyren Williams to have more than 25 receiving yards, and Puka Nacua to have more than 70 yards. And for a $20 bet, all 3 correct, we're going to take home $167.20. Or I can flex it and say, you know what? I can make $4 just getting 2 of them right. Or if I do flex, I can get 74. This app is awesome. So you got to get in there and try it out. Go with me. See, if you like my picks, check it out. See what you do there. But my entry is there for you guys all to see for Thursday's game. We'll see what Mo selects on this one as well. But again, our friends at Sleeper Picks, best app you can do. This is great stuff. You can do it real time. You can do it before the game. You can look at the whole schedule. It'll be up later this week. So do that. And don't forget, if you sign up today, use the code GENTY and you get a $100 match on your first $100 deposit. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. We're giving you free money here from our friends at Sleeper Picks. Rules and regulations apply. Check the website or the app for details on this. Not available in every state, but most likely in your state it is. So check it out. And don't forget, use the code GENTY. That's GENTY, $100 match on your first $100 deposit from our great friends over at Sleeper Picks. Now, back to the show. Welcome back. Segment number 2, Silver and Black today. This Tuesday edition. Of course, we are an Odyssey Sports Original Podcast. If you don't already subscribe to the podcast, do so. I know the Raiders are 1-3 and you're pissed. Doesn't matter. You can still listen to us. We can be your therapist. Therapists. So make sure you subscribe wherever you get your audio. Don't forget to rate and review. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Also, if you're watching us on video, thumbs up, subscribe, notifications bell. All 3 of those, you're golden for any time we have a new video. All right. Mo and Scott back with you. As always, our video brought to you by our friends at Sleeper Picks. Thanks for them to doing that. Hopefully you're doing well with your Sleeper Picks as well. All right, Mo, we talked about the offensive line, only 3 pressures in this past game versus 51 in the first 3 games. Good progress there. We talked about Jordan Meredith's inability to know where he's supposed to play. We saw that a little bit on the other side, but I have to say, not that there weren't outages, but DJ Glaze played better. And then Colton Miller, before he went out, played fine. And then Dylan Parham had a much better game. He's still got work to do. But overall, that unit seemed to maybe, I don't know if it was rallying around the criticisms that they're getting justly, or the fact that Jackson Powers Johnson was there. I think he's just a natural leader, and his energy brings something different to that group.
As I said in the first segment, I feel like Jackson Powers Johnson was arguably their best offensive lineman. There's no disrespect to Colton Miller or the improvement that the offensive line made overall, but I feel like Jackson Powers Johnson really stood out on some of those blocks. But overall, Scott, I was after Jordan Meredith. I don't know what he was doing on 4th down on a certain play that's been circulated through social media. After that play, and for the most part, I feel like the offensive line played pretty well as the game went on. Was it a rocky start? Yes. But as time went on, the reason Ashton Jeanty, now take nothing away from him, part of the reason he was able to get some of those big plays is because the offensive line was doing their job up front.
Yeah.
So the offensive line, in my opinion, their best game as a unit so far this season. So that's a strong positive. Now, how long can they keep that up without Colton Miller at left tackle? As you mentioned earlier in the show, he has an ankle sprain. That's usually a multi-week injury, which means Stone Forsythe is going to be your starting left tackle. And let me tell you, Stone Forsythe has not been good in pass protection. So I don't know how long the Raiders are going to be able to sustain their solid offensive line play from the latter half of last Sunday's game. But it's a good sign to see them finally coming together.
Yeah, I also want to call out, and it's unfortunate that he got an injury, but if you look at the play of Eric Stokes, he surprised me. He played really, really well, as did that defensive backfield. Now, of course, the Bears weren't exactly throwing the ball all over the place. And Caleb Williams still doesn't look 100% to me, a guy that I would have confidence in. But I have to say that you saw some performances back there against the Bears. Now, that last drive, different story. Who knows why? It seems as though Patrick Graham's defenses seem to give up late leads a lot in the last few years under different coaching staffs. But I do love the play of Stokes. He sprained his knee, so I would imagine he's going to miss time, which means Darnay Holmes, some of these other guys are going to have to step up against a much better team, I believe. The Colts, even though the Colts lost, I think the Colts are a better team right now than the Chicago Bears. So it's going to be a challenge for that group. But I had to call him out because he's been a surprise to me, Stokes.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid on one side, on his side of the field. He's exceeded my expectations, definitely. I felt like Stokes was a number 2 or number 3 cornerback. He's held up pretty well. Caillou Blue-Kelly has been shaky. And this
Yes.
is why I said I
After a
can
good start.
see the Raiders, after a decent start, Caillou Blue-Kelly, I noted this on Twitter. Caillou Blue-Kelly was giving up, before last Sunday's game, was giving up a 107.6 passer rating coverage. You don't want to be above 90. He's at 106. He's at 107.6. So while Eric Stokes has been doing well, the other side, that cornerback 2 spot, not so well. So having Darian Porter got a lot of time on the field after Eric Stokes went out on Sunday. Having Darian Porter and Caillou Blue-Kelly in your secondary, major concern for me. And that's why I could see the Raiders trying to acquire Rick Woolen. Those trade rumors have been floating around. That Ian Rappaport said that the Seattle Seahawks may be interested in moving him after Devin Witherspoon is back healthy, and some of the other Seahawks cornerbacks have played well. If Reek Witherspoon is indeed available, I could see the Raiders making the move for him.
And in typical Raider fashion, you tune in to Sunday Night Football, the Packers and the Cowboys, and who do you see? Oh, Keyshawn Nixon. Now, Nate Hobbs is also with the Packers, and both played pretty well, unless I missed it, because I did miss the late part of the game when it ended up in a tie, which cost me a bet, by the way. But you, I'm not bitter. But you look at that, and again, talent evaluation. And Mo, that's what I want to do the rest of the segment is, there are fair criticisms. You and I have been making them publicly against this coaching staff. Why isn't this team prepared? Why don't they know where they're supposed to be? At first, Ashton Genty took all the heat for that because he was out of position. But now you're seeing it on the offensive line. You've seen it defensively less, but a few times as well. And then you look at talent. How much of the Raiders' current issues that you see, in your opinion, how much is preparation versus talent?
It's hard to quantify because I'm not, media is not allowed anyway. Even if I was in Las Vegas, media is not allowed to be at these practices as far as what they're planning, what they're doing. My thing here is, we knew the talent was shallow. As you said, they lack depth at key spots. You got Stone Forsythe, who was one of the worst pass protecting offensive linemen, left tackles in the league last year, and he's probably going to be your starting left tackle until Colton Miller's back from his ankle injury. So there is a clear talent issue there on this roster. But my issue with the preparation is, if players don't know which direction the play is going, that's a preparation problem. Because you're supposed to practice that how many times going into the week. You should know what you're doing for the game. By Friday, you should know the game plan. When this is called, this is the way the play is going. When this is called, this is what we're going to communicate. This is when this is changed, this is how we're going to flip this play. You go through that during the week. That's what Wednesday, Thursday practices are for, right? So you're not supposed to go into game day and not knowing where the play is going and when to start moving after the snap. As I said, you can watch the game back multiple times. Meredith snaps the ball, and there are at least maybe 2 players who are moving 3 seconds after the ball is snapped, which is giving the Bears defensive line a jump on the Raiders offense. That's a problem. That's a preparation issue.
It is preparation issue. And then you have, of course, you saw the report, Mo, about the Raiders special teams. Of course, the block field goal was interesting because one of the Bears, the guy who blocked Josh Blackwell, who blocked the kick, told the Marquee Sports after the game that the Raiders long snapper moved the ball before every snap. They had noticed this the special teams coach for the Bears, had noticed this in film preparation for the game. So my question, something like that, is that's also about preparation, right? So you're watching the same film. If you're the special teams coach, shouldn't you be watching your own guys in addition to the other teams?
You know what? And you're right, Scott. But you know what? If you watched, you didn't because you were busy, but during Sunday Night Football, Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico talked about referees clamping down on centers moving the ball up before the snap. Now, I know this is a special teams play versus this is a center for the offense, but referees and teams are now paying attention to how the ball is maneuvered or manipulated before the snap. Now, referees are calling penalties. They're calling false starts on centers if they move the ball too far before the snap. I believe what special teams players are doing is to get a tip on when the ball is going to be snapped so they can get a jump on blocking the punt or the field goal. And look at the way the snapper is snapping the ball, or is there a tell before he snaps the ball? And in this case, Josh Blackwell picked up on it, and the Bears are able to block a field goal. But also, Vinny Bonsignore pointed this out, that Michael Mayer, who was out with a concussion or in concussion protocol, was the right wing guy on those protections for the field goal unit. He was out on Sunday, and in his place, Jonah Laulu was out there, and he whiffed on a block, which allowed the Bears to get through and block that field goal. So there's the other part of it.
And that might be a little bit of both, right? Talent and preparation. Because if you're the backup guy, I know it's harder because you don't get as many snaps, but if you're the backup guy in practice, you got to imagine they're swapping people in on kicks, right? And so whiffing a block, yes, talent and preparation. So not good. But the Raiders special teams this year is not as tight as it once was. And so that's a concern as well. But we've talked about that for 3 weeks now. All three aspects of the game have issues and they need to fix them. So with that, but now we're going to go to our final break. When we come back, we're turning the show over to you. I can imagine what these calls are going to be like. You're always good here. But nonetheless, we're going to get to your phone calls, answer your questions, and just let you vent. Whew. Breathe. That's right. Breathe. Serenity now for you Seinfeld fans out there. All right. We'll step aside when we come back. It's your phone calls on the Raider Nation switchboard. It's Mo, it's Scott. This is Silver and Black Today. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Segment number 3, the home stretch on this Tuesday edition of Silver and Black Today, an Odyssey Sports Original podcast, also heard on the radio on the weekends. That's right. KDON 1015 and, of course, 840 KXNT. And also, make sure you watch the video. A video brought to you by our good friends at Sleeper Picks. Don't forget, use the code GENTY, get a $100 match on that $100 deposit. You're welcome. You can send me a thank you note later. All right, Mo Moton, Scott Branson, back with you. We're going to get to your phone calls. Mo, you ready for this? Because we got a bunch of them. I'm trying to get as many as I can. I can't get all 24 of them in. Yes, 24. Can't get them all in, but I keep cycling them through. So we're going to get to them as many as we can. Mixture of callers who call in quite often and callers who've called in for the first time or haven't been calling in for a while. So we're going to get to these. Are you ready, Mo? I hope you took your vitamins, brother.
Took my vitamins, drank my water. I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. First one, our good buddy Anders from Oakland, one of our all-star callers. Here he is.
Hey, fellas. It's Anders calling from Oakland, and I'm actually calling about the last part of your conversation with Murph, Scott, which I thought was terrific, about beat writers, which is actually why I listen to you guys and read what you guys write, is because you're not a quote-unquote Raider insider, and you're not a beat writer. And those guys' jobs are almost impossible because they will just get cut off. If you remember, Vic got cut off, right? Vic Tafer got cut off because they said he was too negative. So then we get stuck reading stuff. I'm not going to call out any names, but one guy named rhymes with condo, which is he's just a mouthpiece. And I get it. Like, if he's not, he loses his job and he loses his way of making a living. And I just want to point that out, that's why I love listening to you guys, because you're not dependent on access to the guys in the locker room or to anybody else. And so that's just kudos to you. Why I love the show. Obviously, it was a horrific game and et cetera, et cetera. But That's for another. They probably have 50,000 callers about that. But just a really good conversation, Scott. Hats off to you. Bye.
All right, there's Anders from Oakland. And just to get you up to speed, Mo, on the postgame show, Murph brought up that, that fans were a little disappointed that beat writers don't ask more difficult questions. Now, difficult questions is I think a term that could be defined by any number of people in many different ways, right? There are fans who want an ounce of flesh when things don't go well. So they want a reporter to go up there and say, well, why do you suck? Right. Which of course is not going to happen. It's not professional, first of all. So I just basically gave my thoughts on it, which were, look, a beat writer, what they do on a daily basis, they're in the building, they have a relationship with the coaches, with the players, and they need to do that professionally. So when you ask somebody, there's nothing wrong, because we talked about last week where we heard Vinny directly ask about the situation with Jackson Powers Johnson. He did a great job of it. Perfect example of how you should do it. And I was telling him that, you can't just call people out and get angry, because Vinny's a reporter. He's a professional. He's not an emotional fan who's angry because their team lost. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, when you're doing a job, you don't do that. You get in a fight with your wife at home or your husband at home, and you work in the retail business. You can't start yelling at customers because you're mad at your wife, right? And the same thing goes for reporters. And so my point too was also, in this world, Mo, the NFL and NFL teams control more of their media than ever before. It's a different game than it was before, when newspapers ruled the world. When you wanted information on your NFL team, you had to read your beat reporter, you had to read your columnist. Not so much. There's lots of different options, including the team. It's got 5 video shows. It's got 3 podcasts. It's got a staff full of news writers, including some who worked in actual media. So it's harder and different to be a beat writer these days. And so that's the insight I was giving, and trying to say that, and look, you have to have a working relationship with the people you cover. So you can't just MF people all the time. And so you have to be nuanced in how you ask the question. Doesn't excuse you for not asking questions that should be asked, that readers want to know and that you should ask. But I don't think that's happened in Las Vegas. And I was just trying to talk people down from the ledge, because they want to call reporters cowards and all this other stuff. Give me your thoughts on that.
I'll shoot straight to the point with mine, since you basically said it for me. But this is why I have no desire to be a beat reporter, because if I were to be a beat reporter, and I do have a journalism degree, I can definitely try, get into that lane, but I would have to water down the content that I do here with you, Scott, at Silver and Black Today and at Bleacher Report, because not that I get on air and I MF anybody or curse anyone out and I go overboard, because I try to keep a professional level anyway.
Right.
But then I would have to very wisely choose my words carefully when I talk on these shows, because you have to understand, when you're a beat reporter and you have a relationship with these coaches and players, they're watching what you say and do. So if you rub someone the wrong way, or if you say something that gets taken the wrong way, you may not get that interview you need for your feature. You may not get to talk. You may try to talk to a player, he may blow you off. So you have to deal with that aspect of it too. When you're removed from it, and Anders said he likes this part of our show, when you're removed from it, you have more leeway on what you can say, and you don't have to carefully craft every word that you say. I can get up here and wear Raiders cap if I want to. Beat reporters cannot do that. They're not on air wearing Raiders apparel and speaking as freely as we can, as far removed from the situation as from the situation that they are. So it's different when you're a beat reporter in that lane versus, I guess you would call us content creators, where we have more leeway in what we can say and what we can wear when we're on video.
But Mo, I've said it for years now, though, that, and I don't know if people quite understand the seismic shift in the journalistic world. The NFL is its own media operation. It used to count on coverage from newspapers, right? Newspapers in cities and all this stuff. It doesn't need it really that much. Yes, it still does, but that's why even good reporters around the league, because as a member of the Pro Football Writers of America, I'm on all the calls. I hear it. how the organization has to constantly fight the NFL, putting more and more and more restrictions on access to coaches and players. Back in the day, now you would still have to have those relationships. To your point, you can't go and say this guy's terrible, it was a mistake, a draft pick, and then go interview him in the locker room. He's not going to talk to you, right?
Exactly.
But back in the day, you had more access. Now you have limited access, so it's even harder to. And as a beat writer, your job's not to be critical anyway. Yes, you can ask a question that probes on a situation that might be considered somewhat critical or addresses an issue, but you're not an opinion piece person. You don't get to write columns and say that I think Pete Carroll should be fired. No, you have to stay objective, which we try to do on the show most of the time. And you have to cover what is going on a day-to-day basis. To do that, you need people in the organization to talk to you. Now, Murph mentioned some of the guys in the Bay Area, Kawakami and these guys who used to fight openly with the organization, and they used to get in yelling matches in the press conference room, all that stuff. That was different. There was different dynamics. The team moved away, came back. There was all kinds of issues there. You're talking about 40 years worth of stuff.
Yep.
So it's just different. People want to say that the Las Vegas media is weak, all that stuff. That's not it at all. Understand that the dynamics have changed. And so that's what we were talking about. Okay. We spent enough time on that, but it was a very interesting discussion with Murph. And thanks for Anders for that. All right. We're going out to Josh now.
Hey, Scott Mo. This is Josh from Central Valley in California. I completely reject my statements about Geno Smith, second coming of Winston. He is completely like Andrew Walter. Oh my goodness. Those who know, it was Andrew Walter, not Jordan back then, but it is what it is. That's frustrating once again. I think, we still need a quarterback. And it's just frustrating to see, something that should be changed isn't changed year in, year out, regardless of who is that quarterback. I think offense they played well today as far as the O-line, right? O-line was played well. Geno didn't get trapped today. He's made some bonehead decisions. At what point do you throw in Kenny Pickett baby hands in there? I mean, it's ridiculous. We need better quarterback play, and I understand we've been saying this since, for a long time, but at some point, I know Murph said it, and other people said it as well. We got to take a chance at getting a quarterback, even if it's high in the draft. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully, Colton Miller's okay. Wish you all the best. Go Raiders.
All right, there's Josh, who apparently cell service is run by Geno Smith. Because we had some issues there. But Josh, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. A little hard to hear, but we got you. Yeah, I mean, NFL success is all dictated by quarterback play, Mo. And it's hard to see the Raiders winning more than 3 or 4 games if it's a big if the level of quarterback play is this bad throughout the remainder of the season.
So I will say that I think it's fair to question, hey, why not just bench Geno Smith for a half? If he doesn't have it, if he's throwing multiple interceptions in the first half, bench him for a half, right? Like I said, they gave up a 3rd round pick for him. They signed him to a 2-year, $75 million extension. He is going to start for at least half the season, if not the whole season. But could you bench him for a half because he's not playing well, just to give the team a spark with Kenny Pickett? Absolutely. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons benched Michael Penix. Now, that game was way out of hand with the Carolina Panthers, but Michael Penix was not playing well. You know what? He's their potential franchise quarterback of the future. Guess what? They benched him. I've seen other veteran quarterbacks who haven't played well get benched, and they go to the backup just to give the team a spark. And I feel like in that situation, yes, they could have benched Geno Smith because the game was still in balance. And I feel like Kenny Pickett couldn't be much worse than what Geno Smith was doing, right? So at the same time, just understand that Geno Smith is going to be trotted out there against the Colts as the starter.
Absolutely.
Now, how long he hangs on to that job, Pete Carroll will make that decision. But given what they gave up for him, what they paid him, and his pre-existing relationship with Pete Carroll, and we know why we don't like to say it. We like to say it's a meritocracy. We know relationships play a part in these. He's going to be your starter for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, and I think he's really got to have a bounce back game against Indy, win or lose. What he can't do is be a main factor in the loss, right? Turning the ball over, all that. If he goes out there and has even an average performance where he doesn't turn the ball over and puts them in position to score, at least, and keep the ball, then nothing's going to change. Now, if he goes out and has another stinker, then you're right. I think you could very easily say, all right, first half, we're going to start with a different quarterback, see what happens, and go back to him. I mean, look, you're right. I think the amount invested, all that plays into this. Does the prior relationship with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll and John Spytuck both have to admit that they were maybe not right, that they were wrong if Geno Smith continues to sputter. So we'll see what going. But thanks for the call, Joshua. Appreciate it. Now on to Lucas. Here's Lucas.
Hey, Scott, Mo, this is Lucas from Salt Point, New York. Good luck finding that one on the map. And a little disappointed about the loss yesterday. You know, we put up a good fight, but seemed to have our bi-weekly Geno 3-interception game. But at least Genty looked like he was in college for a little bit, so I was kind of happy about that. But unrelated, I was having a conversation with my dad earlier on in the day, and he heard something somewhere about how Jackson Powers Johnson wasn't able to read and understand the plays when they were called out to him, so he wasn't able to make no O-line adjustments as the center. So that's why they made Meredith the captain, hence the center, which is usual for part of the course for the NFL. But do you think, it's okay for Meredith to still be the captain, but let JPJ be the center? What do you think it'll be harder for him to make those O-line adjustments from, the position he usually plays? I think within time, JPJ will be able to become that man. Looking forward to the show tomorrow on Tuesday, and let's go Raiders.
All right. Lucas in Salt Point, New York, which is up near Clinton Corners. I'm looking at it now. Pleasant Valley, just east of the Hudson River. I can't tell how many miles, but anyway, he's in the state. He's up there, way past White Plains.
He's up
towards
north.
the Catskills, right?
He's up north.
So, but Mo, you said early on in the show, JPJ was the best offensive lineman on the field. Pete Carroll made it clear, and so did Chip Kelly. He's not moving back to center. Jordan Meredith, with the call situation, Jordan Meredith missed assignments multiple times throughout the game. So I don't know if there's anything more to discuss on this. I think JPJ at right guard is the right move. He did well, and I think that's what we're going to see the rest of the way.
As I said to someone recently, I forgot who it was. JPJ was pretty good at center and guard last year. Someone said he wasn't very good at guard. I disagree. He was actually pretty good at both positions last year. And it's not to say JPJ can't be a good guard, but Chip Kelly did point out last week, Lucas, I don't know if that's where your dad heard it from, but Chip Kelly pointed out that Jordan Meredith is the guy they want based on size. JPJ is a bigger offensive lineman. They want a bigger guard. Jordan Meredith is closer to 300 pounds. JPJ is over 320. So they clearly have a size requirement for what they want at center and guard. And he also mentioned Jordan Meredith is able to put up the play calls that they want pre-snap. And I pointed this out last week. Before Chip Kelly came out and said this, I said, there was talk that JPJ is not picking up calls at the line of scrimmage. And as a center, you have to be able to help the quarterback call out those pre-snap coverages. And if that's where JPJ is struggling, I think that's an area where he can improve. I don't think that's one of those things where he can't get better at. That's something that you can get better at. So If they wanted to work on that with JPJ, they could. They're just opting not to do it.
By the way, Jackson Powers Johnson, according to PFF, 76.1 grade for Sunday. No pressures, hits, sacks, or hurries surrendered at right guard. So good performance. All right, Lucas, thanks for that. Now we go on to Rio Raider.
Hey guys, Joe, Rio Raider from Albuquerque, New Mexico, calling after this game. Smith was atrocious again. Offensive line was a little bit better, but once again, it comes down to special teams, and we are terrible on special teams. We've got to do something about our special teams coach. We've got to make a change as soon as possible. Penalty on every punt return, kickoff return. They always have better field position than us. It's getting ridiculous. But this team again played better. They gave the ball to Genty, but we've got to do something. I don't get it. See you guys later. You guys have a good week. Take it easy, man. Bye.
All right, there you go. Rio Raider talking. And Mo, the thing is, when people start talking, and the Raiders are near the bottom half of the league as far as if you look at the special team stats, which really are hard to gauge because you have field goal percentage, extra point percentage, kick returns for touchdown. Not a real, they don't account for missed blocks or blown kicks other than the percentage. So that's where we're at. But they're definitely down near the lower end of the league, along with the Chiefs, the Browns, and others. But people calling for coaches to get fired after 4 weeks is not going to happen. I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen eventually if things don't get better, but after 4 weeks, they're not firing a coach.
They're not going to fire a coach 4 weeks into the season, but could they do it during the bye?
Could,
maybe.
if it's really bad.
Because the bye week is right in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And if you remember under Antonio Pierce, what did he do during the bye? Made some coaching changes. That's usually when it happens. So if you're like Rio Raider or anyone else hoping for any coaching changes, it won't be Pete Carroll, by the way. Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly, I think, they're not going anywhere. I don't think Patrick Graham is either. But you're talking about maybe the special teams coach or a position coach that you want them to move on from. Brendan Carroll. That probably won't happen because he's Pete Carroll's son. But it changes like that usually don't happen until the bye week, when the team has a week to kind of step back away from the grind and look at everything. Now, they should be looking at everything day to day, game to game, but that bye week gives you a chance to refresh, and it's sort of near the trade deadline as well. So if you're looking for changes, significant changes, that's when it'll probably happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call, Rio Raider. All right, now we're going out to Mischa in Orange County, California.
Scott, Mo, Raider Nation, what's up? It's Mischa from Orange County. Yeah. Right after the Bears scored on that touchdown towards the end of the game, I knew we could march down the field and get ourselves in field goal range, but I just knew that something was going to happen. I felt it in the pits of my soul that it was either going to be a missed field goal or it was going to be blocked. And why did I feel that way? Because that's the most Raider thing that could ever happen. I'm just at a loss for words. I really hated some of the play calls on that final drive. We got the ball in great field position, had a couple plays to some quick throws that got us some more yards, but it was third and I don't remember what it was, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and we ran 2 straight runs, and I just don't understand that. We're at around the 40-yard line, and we're driving with around a minute left. Why not keep the ball moving forward? It seems like they just said, okay, well, we're in somewhat of field goal range, so we're just going to run the ball and try to kick a longer field goal than we really needed to kick. We could have moved the ball much more closer. So I hated the calls there at the end, and it sucks because there's so many positive things that we could have taken from this game, including obviously the O-line stepping up. Genty went off. The defense played great. Max showed up big time. There's so many positive things to take from this game. But obviously the turnovers, Geno the guy just needs to relax. He needs to relax and just take what the defense gives him, use his legs more. He just keeps on forcing balls downfield. Deep balls, trying to thread the needle, and he keeps turning the ball over. That's all I got, guys. My venting is over. Much love. Talk to you later.
All right, there's Mischa in Orange County. Mo, I said it earlier in the show, that drive by Chip Kelly, otherwise I thought Chip Kelly had a great game calling the offense. That one was confusing, but yet it wasn't, right? I really believe they just had no faith in Geno Smith at that point. You didn't want to throw the ball because you rushed the ball for almost 200 yards at that point. So why would you go to the pass?
Not only did I think that they were scared to throw the ball with Geno Smith, but they got too conservative. And
yes.
I think it was a contrast to what we saw in week 1. I bring up that play against the Patriots where Geno Smith throws down the field on 3rd down to Dante Thornton Jr. to help seal the game. It showed the ultimate confidence in Geno Smith, and Geno Smith showing the ultimate confidence in a rookie in his first regular season game. It was the complete opposite in this last game, where no confidence in Geno Smith throw the ball in critical situation. Let's just be conservative. Let's just play for the long field goal, as Mischa pointed out. And this is what happens. Now the Bears blocked the field goal anyway, but could they have gotten a lot closer? Absolutely. But they went conservative, and this is what you get. When you play conservative, chances are you miss out on opportunities and you lose football games.
That's right. All right, now we're going out to Dominique in the Show Me State. Here he is.
Hey, Scott and Mo, this is Dominique from the Show Me State. Just calling you guys Sunday after the game. Geno Smith is absolutely atrocious. He's the worst quarterback in the league. I mean, just to continue to throw interception after interception, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Pete Carroll's ridiculous. He's terrible as well. He's washed up. Game has passed him. To continue to throw Geno out there, continue to refuse to make changes on the offensive line. I think this organization is cursed. I really do. All off season, all that, not from you guys, don't get me wrong, but from everyone. Oh, it feels different this year, and we finally have adults in the room. We finally have a quarterback, and no, we are. I don't know, just as the same as last year, maybe worse. Last year, we still don't have a quarterback of the future. Hell, we don't even have a quarterback for now, right now. We don't have a head coach now for the future. Just stupid things in the offseason, failing to address the offensive line, signing the worst guard in the league, Alex Capper. That's what they did to upgrade the offensive line. Refusing to draft Shedeur Sanders, your possible quarterback of the future. Nope. The only good thing about today was Ashton Genty. But, I mean, he should have had this kind of game. The Bears literally have the worst run defense in the league. Hell, even Raheem Mostert had a great game. So I would like to see Genty continue to have this success going forward, especially next week against the Colts. But this organization and team is just pathetic year in and year out. It's just ridiculous. The Geno Smith and Pete Carroll experiment, it's not working at all. It's just laughable and atrocious to me. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be listening as always. Appreciate you guys. But Scott, Mo, you guys and myself, we tried to tell Raider Nation all offseason, we tried to tell them, hey, guys, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't buy into the hype. Keep low expectations. This is not a good football team.
And they cut off on him. But I will admit, I was the adults in the room, has a different feeling. I'm that guy. I was that guy. Now, I didn't predict they'd win 10 games. Mo and I were at 7 and 8. We thought there would be good progress, but not overinflated progress, which is, I think, what Dominique's talking there. But, man, he nailed it on the head.
I laughed throughout that call, not at Dominique, because I can hear the disgust in his voice.
Yes.
Dominique is usually, he comes in, he rattles off his points, he's in and out. This time he paused in between a lot of his points to emphasize the disgust he was feeling in this team. And it's exactly how I feel, Dominique. I am 100% there with you. I said that, and I said this on Twitter, that one thing I will not do going forward is say it feels different, because how long have we've been saying that year after year after year? Josh McDaniels comes in, he goes undefeated in the preseason. Oh, it feels different. It feels different. It wasn't any different. Antonio Pierce comes in, he's a rah-rah guy, he's a Raider through and through. He's got the guys smoking cigars. They get him, he gets them. It feels different. Got worse. Pete Carroll comes in, established head coach, great resume, one of 3 coaches to win a natty in college and a Super Bowl. He has all the accolades, right? He brings in Chip Kelly. It feels different. No, it doesn't. And I said this on Twitter, Scott. I'll say it again. I won't say that it feels different until it actually looks different on the field and produces different results. Until I see that on the field in the regular season, not the preseason, but until I see it in the regular season, you will not hear me say it feels different.
Well, and not only that, Mo, but this is where I get a lot of our listeners and folks that I interact with online say to me, for example, in week 1, when the Raiders were underdogs on the road, as they should be, most teams on the road, especially if they had equal records the previous year, are going to be underdogs because the percentage of home teams that win is so high.
Right.
And people, they disrespect us. What is there to respect? I mean, honestly, 1976, 77 was a long time ago. 1983 is a long time ago. Most of you weren't even alive. So
I wasn't alive.
Right. So what respect is there to be given? You earn respect, right? And the Raiders continue to fall on their face when it comes to earning that respect, because you don't earn it unless you win. Okay? Losing teams don't get a lot of rah-rah from national media or from odds makers. It just doesn't happen. So good stuff, and I agree with you 100%. All right, let's go out to Dave Casper, the ghost, who's up there in New York as well. Got a lot of New York calls today.
Hey, boys. Dave Casper, the ghost from upstate New York. The morning after another debacle. You probably have a million phone calls, so I want to be quick and brief and just go through some of the things that everyone else may not talk about. First off, after the third interception, Geno Smith should have been benched. The play calling was altered after that, and it compromised the team. After his third pick, it was clear that Geno didn't have whatever, he didn't have it. They should have thrown Pickett out there and said, see what you can do. Geno, take a seat, start again next week. Early in the game, on their own 35, I think, 4th and 1, why are you going for it? Punt it. I know that's the trendy thing to do now, but you have a suspect offensive line. Your offense has been sort of discombobulated through the first 4 weeks. Why are you going for it? It turned into a fumble. Late in the game, last drive, 3rd and 1, you take a handoff in the shotgun and then you run it to the left side where Colton Miller was just replaced with some Scrivini. Head scratching, to say the least. And then on the blocked field goal, it was blocked from somebody on the outside, another special teams breakdown. You can't. I would have been more tolerant of this start if a Jackson Dart or a young quarterback was playing. But we have a 34, 35-year-old quarterback who is not playing well, to say the least. Rebuilding and being competitive at the same time never works. Spy Tech War, all the heads should have told Carroll, this is a rebuild. We know you're 74, but we're doing a complete rebuild. You look at teams like the Giants; they have a lot. They're 1-3, not good. But I watched that game yesterday, and they have a lot to be hopeful for. Well, however their season turns out, they got Scatterboo, they got Carter, they got a young team, a lot of young good pieces. I would have been more tolerant if we had a rookie out there. So where do we go from here? Well, I'm altering my prediction of 7 wins. This is more of a 5-6 win team. And what are they doing during the week? I would like someone that I don't care when they get up post game and say it's on me, it's on me. I've said that last week. I'll say it again. I don't care about any of that. Somebody asked Pete Carroll, what are you doing during the week that you're not seeing any progress in the offense? And final point, as great as the defense was and as worldly as Devin White and Max Crosby, they all played great. The last drive.
He got cut off. Remember, he said he was going to be short. We love you, Dave Casper, the ghost. It was a great call in that frustration, the passion. And like, I can't, all of these calls, I completely agree with. Like, and his point about young quarterback, looking at the Giants and all that. I totally get it. And the rebuild thing is an interesting point, Mo, that I want to spend a couple seconds on, which is Pete Carroll. They all say came saying, well, we're going to be competitive now. And we're all like, what's competitive? 500? Is that what you mean by competitive? Okay. But there is something to be said for if you're going to do it right, then you do it the right way. And that means you're going to have some interim pain until you get to the right place.
As Dave Casper said, you got to pick a lane. Are you rebuilding or are you going for? Are you competing? And the Raiders tried to straddle the fence on that. And now what you get is when you don't start off fast at 1-3. Now what you get is a team that's old in some spots, doesn't have a ton of extra, doesn't have any extra draft capital because you didn't sell any parts. Really, you went all in on what you had. Of course, we get it because you have a 74-year-old coach now and a 34, 35-year-old quarterback. So the Raiders didn't pick a lane. They tried to do both, and it's fallen flat. So I understand when a fan says, okay, so where do we go from here? What if the Raiders finish with 6 wins? I know that seems like an optimistic outlook now, but what if the Raiders finish with 6 wins and they're pick number 11, where you don't necessarily have access to a top tier prospect, a quarterback prospect, and you may have to move up. Now the Raiders have been hesitant to move up in recent years. I'll say it again, Scott, and I said this Sunday night. Whether they pick a quarterback in the first round or have to move up for one, they have to take a swing. Take a swing. I'm not talking 6th, 7th round Cam Miller. Take a real swing at a young quarterback and potentially build something around him. Look at what Seattle did, right? They went with a veteran quarterback in Sam Darnold, but they also drafted Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round. Right. This is not about whether you like Jalen Milroe as a prospect or not. They took a swing. They said, you know what, we got Sam Darnold, but we want to actually develop someone who could potentially be a franchise quarterback. And the Raiders just refuse to do that. And that's going to be part of their downfall. And they're going to keep spinning their wheels on this veteran. I feel like they keep trying to find the next Rich Gannon. Now, there are other examples you can point out, but I'm 39 years old. So I remember Rich Gannon being this example of an older quarterback who's a late bloomer. They keep trying to find that and recreate that. Go with a young quarterback.
But I think the difference with that situation and the Gannon comparison is Gannon was brought into a good team, right? Yep. That had depth, that was ready, and they just needed that quarterback to get them over the hump.
Yep.
The Raiders are not that team. The Raiders have a lot of issues. So why not? It would have been perfect last year or the year before to get the young quarterback because you're going to go through the pain anyway. Let the kid go. He throws picks. Doesn't matter. You're going to lose anyway. I know it sucks to hear that as a fan, but it's true. Just like the Giants have done. So you do that, but you're right, Mo. You got to take a swing. Organizationally, this franchise kicks the can down the road every year on a future quarterback. Since they decided to give up on Derek Carr, that's what they've done. Veteran, and it's all been crap. So there's still time for Geno Smith to turn it around this season, but it doesn't get rid of the issue they still have.
Really quick, Scott, just a quick point. Because people are going to say, well, the Raiders had to trade up for a quarterback because then they wouldn't have Ashton Genty. The Falcons moved up for an edge rush from the 1st round this year. You know what the Giants did to get Jackson Dart? They didn't pick him with their 1st overall top selection. They moved up to get him. I'm not saying I love Jackson Dart, but they took a swing on him. They moved up to get him, and that's my point. Is you don't necessarily need the number 1 overall pick. It's good to have a Joe Burrow. Yeah, it's good to have that number 1 overall pick and get the top quarterback prospect, but you don't necessarily need the top quarterback prospect in the class. Patrick Mahomes wasn't the top quarterback selected in his class. Right. Lamar Jackson was not the top quarterback selected in his class. Josh Allen was not the top quarterback selected in his class. Don't give me they need the number 1 overall pick.
And the Raiders traded down in the 2nd round, did they not?
Multiple times
to get Jack Besh. Nothing against Jack Besh, but like they could have stayed where they were and maybe moved up into the bottom of the 1st round or moved up a couple spots in the 2nd round and got a quarterback. So to your point, instead they get a receiver. Go figure. That's, again, it goes back to that. So I understand his point and why he's frustrated. All right, now Ron in Virginia. Here he is, going down that Atlantic coast.
Hey, fellas. It's Anders calling from Oakland.
Wrong call. Sorry about that. We'll get to Ron next time. Here's Raider Dougie.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Mo. This is Raider Dougie from Central Cali. Tough loss. Very tough loss, but you know, Geno Smith, I never understood the hype when we brought him in. He had the stats looking on the passing yards, but you know, he reminds me a lot of Jameis Winston. Has the arm, has the yards, but just can't take care of the football. And you know, we were better off probably getting Jameis Winston, if I'm being completely honest at this point. I know Geno has ability to have really good games. So did Jameis Winston. I mean, they just have these random, really good stat lines, 3 touchdowns, 400-yard, games, and then you'll have a lot of stinkers where you have tons of yards and interceptions. But today, I'm hoping that on a positive side, this is what I envision the Raiders offense looking like. Going through Ashton Genty. Run first, run the ball, feed him to open up the pass. We became a passing team from week 1 to now, and I never understood it. I know the offensive line had issues, but you can't give up, and they looked a lot better today. I know Colton went down, so that might change things, but my hope is, without talking about the loss, is that in the future that we start relying more on our run game. Genty and Mostert, thank God they put Zamir White inactive. I mean, this should have happened from week 1. A lot of coaching issues. Let Genty stand in the backfield. Mostert should have been number 2 the whole time. Feed Genty 20 touches. He got his 20 touches. And, don't rely heavily on Geno Smith for us to win games. Geno Smith is just keep us in the game, make the plays that are there. Don't do any ISO stuff, right? If the guy isn't wide open, don't throw the ball. I don't care if it looks like, tight coverage, double coverage, triple coverage, and you think you can spread the needle, don't do it. Don't do it. You can't, you're not that kind of quarterback. So anyway, I just wanted to say, I'm hoping this will lead to better offenses in the future, and hopefully we could see more of Ashton Genty play like the way he did today. Anyway, guys, have a good one.
All right,
Go
there's
Raiders.
Raider Dougie and Mo. Look at Geno Smith, 2024, 15 interceptions. 21 touchdowns. Year before that, 9. Year before that, 11. He's already at 7. He's already reached the halfway point, basically, on the number of interceptions he threw all of last season. So Geno Smith, and you said this the day he signed, and we did a show, and you said, hey, he's going to throw his picks. But this is not the 2022 Geno. 30 touchdowns, 11 picks ratio there, and 100.9 quarterback rating. So you look at that. I don't think any of us were drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. We just thought Geno Smith wouldn't turn the ball over as much and at least had the capability to move the team more. But when you're messed up like Geno Smith's messed up right now, you just have to find it. He's just not seeing. Well, he's seeing the field, but he's not anticipating the defense, nor is he, I think, getting rid of the ball quick enough.
By the way, I'm wearing these glasses today because I wasn't sure if I was watching Geno Smith or Jameis Winston on Sunday. So that's why I put these glasses on. But no, he absolutely right, Scott. He's not playing with anticipation. That's how Kevin Byard was able to pick off those 2 passes. But I will say this. The Geno Smith that we thought we were going to get is not the Geno Smith that we actually got. You read out his numbers, Scott. He's already, as you said, at the halfway point of the number of interceptions he threw last year. He only threw 9 in 2022, you said? I believe it was 2023. He only threw 9. So this isn't the same Geno Smith. And I watched a lot of Geno Smith in Seattle. This is not the same Geno Smith that was with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
Far from it. So the expectation of what we thought we were going to get and what we actually got are 2 totally different things. But if Geno Smith was playing how he played in Seattle, you would get a much better offense, a more efficient offense. But that's simply not the case. I don't know what's going on with Geno. But I said this early in the show, and I'll say it again. This looks more like Jets Geno Smith in his rookie year than it does Seattle Seahawks Geno Smith, who was a 2-time Pro Bowler with legit numbers.
And I wonder because, Mo, since you're wearing your glasses, we're going to stay on a conversation about glasses. And I have mine here. I'm not wearing them because Mo wanted to be the only one wearing glasses on the show. But just kidding. But Geno Smith wears glasses off the field. I don't know if people know that. And I was thinking about this after the game thing. Maybe he needs glasses. Maybe he's really not, or the vision, because you can be nearsighted, farsighted, so you don't need to wear glasses to see far, but you might need them to see close. And maybe he wears contacts. I don't know. but just something to put out there because you're right. It looks like the rookie season, Geno Smith. All right, now we're going out to the two peas in a pod. First is Tarik, and then we're going to get to Yandog to close the show. Here's Tarik in Chicago.
What is up, Scott and Mo? This is Tarik calling you guys from the Windy City. Goodness gracious me. My voice is almost gone. I am absolutely livid. 7 picks for Geno on the season, leads the NFL. I thought this guy was supposed to be really, really accurate. I thought he had a really, really good indoor record. What the hell kind of a performance was that? He's thrown 6 picks in 2 home games. He's looked absolutely atrocious. I want to give kudos to Genty. Obviously, it was just an incredible game, breakout game. Kudos to our defense for sure, because the Bears could have run away with that. We were gift wrapping them, possessions deep in our territory, and they stood up to them and forced field goals. And kudos to our offensive line, honestly. They opened up running lanes for Genty. They made some really, really solid adjustments. We had well over 200 yards rushing as a team. Let's really, really hope that Colton Miller's okay because, again, he's our best offensive lineman. We have absolutely no depth whatsoever. But, yeah, I just don't know what to say, guys. 1-3. I don't believe in, hexes and jinxes and curses, but it just seems like there is a permanent dark cloud hanging over this franchise. We did some positive things today, but can anybody even begin to try to explain the dreadful performance by our quarterback? 2 dreadful interceptions in the first half. I don't know what the hell that was to start. Literally, the first pass of the second half was a pick. And, I think on the last drive for the Raiders, I did not like the play call on 3rd and 2, just trying to stuff it up the middle with Genty. I think they were having some success with sweeps. But it doesn't get any better, guys. 1-3. We're at the Colts. I was going to go to that game. I am not going to that game. I'm looking forward to your Scott, I did love your post-game show today with Murph. That was fantastic. Looking forward to you and Mo this week. And I will talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
All right, there's Tarik without a voice because he was in a bar in Chicago with his Bear fan buddies. You can imagine how the day went for him. No wonder his voice is gone. So props to him for hanging in with Chicago fans are the worst when they're winning and they're sitting next to you. Terrible. So I get it. But Mo, also just a quick note. We saw a press conference from Pete Carroll on Monday said if Colton Miller is out, which I'm sure he will be, Steve Forsythe would be the next man up. Oof. But he did open the door and said that it could be an opportunity for Charles Grant to charge in. Of course, the rookie from William and Mary in the 3rd round, they selected him there too. So we'll see what happens there. Could there be a battle? I hope so, because Forsythe, as you mentioned earlier, not good. All right, we're going to close out the show with Tarik's Pea in a Pod, and that is the Yandog. Here's Yandog. Now, let's see how Yandog sounds, because Yandog, even when he's mad, he's very upbeat. So we'll see.
Hey, Scott, Mo, Yandog.
Oh, my gosh.
Not to really have much to say. Another Pacific loss again. And when I talked to you a few weeks ago, you were saying it's only 1 game, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be 1 game. It's going to be pretty bad. The only thing that came out on the bright side was Janty, and he had a big game, running game, but he can't by himself. And it's just pretty sad, man. I mean, I don't know where the hell this is going to lead to. Who the hell knows, if we're going to win any games at all anymore, the way things are going. And but I just hope it gets better. And like I said, me and Tarik were talking yesterday, and I guess he was pretty upset when he called me, and he said to me, that it's just totally, it's just pathetic too, and he's not even gonna think he's even gonna be watching any more of the games. That's what he told me. But personally, they got to get their act together, because this is not looking good at all. If we lose every game, I guess the only thing that we're going to get is probably and who the hell?
Oh, we got some gaps on the cell service
Raider
there.
Nation and all these moves they're making positive, and it didn't turn out that way. But anyway, that's all I really got to say. So,
oh, there's Yandog cut out on us. Wow, consistently, Mo. That's the thing that strikes me about these callers, because some of these guys call in all the time, and I've never heard them sound so exhausted, like just completely worn out from the Raiders?
It sounds like Tarik and Yandog played 67 plays for the Raiders on Sunday. The way they sound calling into the show, but Scott, it's only we're going into week 5. It's going into week 5, and fans are already expressing exhaustion. Yandog, Tarik, my guy Dominique sound completely deflated and disgusted. It is going into week 5. The sad part about this is, and I said this last year, and I hate that I'm saying it again before week 5. What is the direction of this football team? As Dave Casper said, they tried this thing where they're going to win now, but they're also going to rebuild at the same time. Pick a lane. Are you going to fix things to try to win now, or are you going to play for the future? Not necessarily tank, but start playing guys for development, which leads me to say, do you start Charles Grant because he's your rookie third rounder? I prefer to see what Charles Grant's got over Stone Forsythe, who's proven that he's not a good pass protector. At least maybe Charles Grant can get some notable snaps and some development for next year. Maybe he could be your swing tackle.
Absolutely. All right. That's going to do it for this show. We went long for you because we wanted everybody to get that out. Everybody sounded like they were in the hospital from exhaustion, which I think they probably could be with the way this team has gone so far. So we're going to be here to continue to talk about it and keep you level-headed and keep you moving along with any positive news that comes up. We'll see what happens with the Raiders this week. They get set for Indianapolis. When we come back on Thursday, we will have an interview. We will break down the Colts. How are they off to such a good start with Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, as they're calling him now? How are they doing that? We'll get some insight, talk about the matchup as well. So make sure you tune in for that. That's why you need to subscribe wherever you get your audio or your video. Don't forget to rate and review. Mo, let everybody else know what you got coming up. It's Tuesday now. I know you have some Bleacher Report lives coming up, and let everybody know what's happening with you.
So I talked about Stone Forsythe and Charles Grant potentially battling for the left tackle job with Colton Miller out on Tuesday on Bleacher Report Live. I will have another video out on Wednesday to be determined. Also another Sportsnet article for this week. Talking about the Raiders offense. Where does it go from here without Colton Miller? What can they do at that spot? And how does Ashton Jeanty sustain or build on the momentum that he gained in week 4? Check that out, and I'll be back with Scott on Thursday to break down Colts Raiders.
Yes, he will. As always, guys, we appreciate you being with us, and we appreciate our producer at Odyssey, Mr. Mike Robier, who keeps us moving along. Always important to the show here. But most of all, you are. Hang in there. I know it's tough, and I know we went off a little bit on things today, but we will continue to cover the Raiders and talk to you about them. Take your phone calls again if you want to call in 702-900-7869 for the next show. Tell us. In fact, I'm going to put that challenge out there, Mo, for the folks out there, which is call the number on your screen, 702-900-7869. Tell us how you fix the Raiders moving forward. What's the plan for the rest of the year? Since the playoffs not going to happen, but what else are you going to do? What do you want to see from this team moving forward and into the latter part of the season as we get close to the quarter point already of the NFL season? Let's talk about that. But you can do that and call in 702-900-7869. Mo, I will see you Thursday, man. Hopefully we get some better news on some of these injuries.
Take care, Scott. Take care, Raider Nation. Take care, Colton Miller. Get back soon. Raider Nation needs you. The Raiders need you.
Big time. Big time. All right. For Mo Moton, I'm Scott Branson. This has been Silver and Black today. We'll catch you all Thursday. Thanks for watching.